If you want to mind break yourself, go ahead and install Arch Linux. Cause by the time that you finish installing Arch Linux or attempted to install Arch Linux, you would have been mind broken to insanity. I understand now why a lot of femboys love to use Arch Linux. Because the entire process is just so masochistic. You have to make sure that every single thing is correct. Every single partition is correct. Every single command is correct. Which most likely isn't. And it will implode right in front of your face. Everything will throw up an error. You cannot install Arch Linux properly. And if you do, it's not gonna work for long. This whole shit show began about 2 days ago, where my Endeavor OS installation just shat itself. And it was time for me to look for a new distro. So I experimented with Pop OS. I experimented with Manjaro. I experimented with Ubuntu. And I thought to myself, well, why not we try Arch? Best worst decision ever. So I started reading the docs, connecting to the internet, trying to type all of the commands correctly, until I tried to install Linux. It didn't want to. Why? Because the keyrings are incorrect. Keyrings are basically a certificate for the system to say that yes, you can install this because this is safe and this doesn't have a virus. And in most cases, the keyrings are wrong. So I had to take an hour to look at all of the guides in which they all say, read the docs, read the docs, read the docs. I am reading the fucking docs. And I found out that you have to manually set up the keyrings, get a new keyring, and everything went well. It didn't went well. The next part was installing the bootloader or grub. It didn't want to detect the EFI, my EFI partition. It's there! The EFI partition is there. I set it to boot/EFI. It didn't. It just said, no, I don't think it's there. No, it's not there. But it is there! I tried it like multiple times, but it's there. It's there. And again, I searched up in the internet. All they said was read the docs, scrub. I'm fucking reading the docs! So, after that, I just decided, fuck it, let's do an Arch install. I've been installing it manually for the past 6 hours. I read the docs. I tried to troubleshoot it, only to be told to read the docs again. And, I know it's cheating, but if it makes me install Arch Linux, so be it. And, did that work? No, it didn't work. One of the issues was partitioning. So I said that we're gonna allocate 500 gigabytes for Arch. We're gonna also allocate 500 megabytes for the EFI. Everything else, leave it be. So I did all of the other settings, and when I clicked on install, it said that the whole drive was gonna be wiped. And I'm like, no, please don't. No! So I Control-C, which is the exit thing in Linux, and it exited successfully with no damage to the drive. And I decided, you know what? Fine, let's do that thing again. If it deletes everything, well, guess I'm jumping into the pool today. So I did it again. Thankfully, it didn't wipe everything. But it was stuck on setting the time and date. I tried to see what was wrong with it. Again, I got told to fuck off, go to the docs, and the docs barely said anything. But it turns out to be a problem with dual booting, so I gave up with Arch install too. At this point, it has already been a whole day. I started at 7 a.m. and it was like 5 a.m. the next day. So, around the whole day, I have tried to install Arch using the traditional method, ended up accidentally deleting my Windows EFI. repairing the EFI, going to do Arch install, and failing with that too. So I said, is there someone that makes a Arch GUI? There is. And I used that one. Thankfully, it was a much more easier process, and success! I had Arch. But it's very, very sketchy. First of all, it's not really approved by Arch. I think there's some copyright issues, some legal issues with that one. And it also had the keyring issue as well, where I have to do the whole keyring shenanigans gymnastics thingy every time I restart, even though everything is installed. So that is very frustrating. So at the end of the day, it took me about 2 days to set up Arch Linux, make sure everything is functional, not fully working because it's not fully working, and all of that just for a Neo fetch to show that I use Arch, by the way. It's not really worth it. It's not really worth it. If you want the Arch experience, you can go ahead and install Endeavor OS, but there have been reports of it being unstable after a long time, in which I can agree with that. My Endeavor OS shat itself, that's why I'm here in the first place. Or you can try another flavor of Linux, which is Debian or Fedora. I've heard good stuff about that, and I'll most likely be installing Debian or Fedora after I finish this video, because my god, I've already missed my Friday schedule because I was installing Arch Linux, fucked over the Windows EFI, and done the whole mental gymnastics. So for those who can do Arch Linux without hitting themselves in the wall or mind breaking themselves, I applaud you. You go king, queen, whatever. And as for me and anyone like me that are doo-doo in the head when it comes to these kinds of stuff, I'll be using Debian now. So this is fuukattofumei signing out, and I'll be taking a very long nap. Oh, fuck.